Starting a business from scratch, it is one of the hardest things you can ever imagine. Most new ventures fail within the first few years. So my tip is that if you really want to have a more reliable way to build up wealth, there are way better plans for you. Trust me. And today I'm going to give you a 3-step strategy that could change for real your financial future forever. And spoiler alert, it is not about starting a new business. Forget about it. And now subscribe and let's get started. Step 1 foresees that you have to develop your strongest skills. I know that usually the common motto is that you have to follow your passion or work hard in order to compensate in a way or another for your weaknesses. But honestly, this advice doesn't really work in the real world. So forget about it. Don't waste your time and focus on what really matters. Here's the reality. Passion often follows competence, and it is not the other way around. And the reason is simple, because people really like what they are already good at, because we are rewarded for it. Makes sense, right? So it creates a virtuous cycle of improvements and engagement. The truth is, people are not competent in high-value skills, and trying to become well-rounded about your weaknesses simply worsens the overall situation and makes you average. So what is the solution that I'm telling you? Well, that you have to focus on your strengths first, your natural talents, to become really outstanding. This is how you can win the money game. And this is what they don't teach us at school. Because at school, usually we are told that we have to become good enough on everything. But this is something that doesn't allow you to be at the top of the job market. If you would like to be paid an exceptional amount of money, you have to provide an exceptional service or an exceptional product. So long story short, you need to be exceptional, not average. So here's the tip. First and foremost, you have to identify what are your strengths, your superpowers, let's say. If you're struggling to identify what you're good at, simply ask your friend and your family. And believe me, they will be ready to provide an honest feedback to you. Because people that surround us often sees our strengths and weaknesses better than we do. It's difficult to see the big picture if you are within the frame. Just to make an example, my superpower is finding out good opportunities on the stock market. Simply because apparently I have good analytical skills. And I didn't realize it until people told me that it was this way. Imagine that back in the days I didn't want even to become a financial analyst. But then apparently I was guessing it right quite consistently. And the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. Now studying undervalued companies and making money out of the stock market is my secret passion. So the step 1 is leaning into what you are naturally good at. That definitely makes everything simpler. So don't waste your time to make yourself lukewarm soup, right? Discover your superpower and pour yourself into developing those skills until you become exceptional. Step 2 looks obvious, but you need to get a job. I know that the idea of working might not sound extremely appealing, especially if you're just receiving low-paying job offerings. But a job is not just about making money, it's about learning. Think of it as a paid apprenticeship, where you can test your skills, build relationships, and this is important, and climb the ladder. So to get the most out of your job, focus on 3 aspects. Focus on your superpower, nurturing relationships, and get promoted. Use your job to become exceptional at your craft and aim for a better position in order to get more experience on top of more money. Here is the pro tip. To get promoted quickly, don't just do your job. Help your boss with theirs. Identify the tasks they hate and take them on. Trust me, if you are the problem solver, they will notice. And you will move up faster than you think. So think about yourself. Maybe you are extremely gifted in mathematics, so a good opportunity can be provided by working in investment banking, as it was for myself. Alternatively, if you are an extrovert person, you can opt finding out a job in sales or in marketing. On the other hand, if you think you suck in everything, I have a news for you. You don't suck in everything. You simply did not discover what you're good at. And here is the blunt truth. A lot of young people get fired exactly because they focus too much on the low income they receive, rather than on the performance they can provide, preventing them to climb the ladder and preventing them to gain experience that they can spend in the future in the job market. When I graduated, I sent out something like 272 CVs. After 6 months after my graduation, I received just one reply from an English company saying that they were cutting all the expenses. But just in case they will contact me back, once the macroeconomic environment would improve. We were in the midst of the financial crisis, so you can understand that I was not well placed to find out a high-paying job back in the days. All the opposite. So I started reading the job vacancies. They were all looking for young graduates, but with experience. I had just one of the two features. I was recently graduate, and that's it. Experience, zero. So I reverted the problem, and magically I understood. To position myself better in the job market, I needed to gain experience, whatever it takes. So I told myself, given that the companies were laying off people to cut all the expenses, but at the same time they were trying to keep up with the services they were providing to their clients, they were looking for young and cheap people to replace expensive employees. So I decided to exploit the situation, going to work for free for 1 year in order to gain that experience that in the job market will become extremely valuable for my future. And here I made jackpot. And to tell you that year it was extremely tough. Plus, in investment banking, you work crazy hours. It's not an easy job. Then, without even the compensation of a reward, it was even tougher. But what I got in terms of experience, it is something that now I consider invaluable. Moving on. This to say that a job is not what you earn, but what you learn. Because what you learn is yours and is yours forever, and nobody can touch it. Think in these terms, where you can get paid to learn some competencies, if not at work. Of course, you can go to college, pay 20k per year, and get your head filled with theories, and only after start applying for a job, and you have to start, of course, as a trainee with no income, and then you have to climb all the ladder, hoping to be paid between $3,000 and $4,000 per month, if you are lucky, and not before 1 year. Alternatively, you can think on top of going to the college to start working for the very same companies that you would like to apply for once you get your graduation, in order to gain that experience and maybe offset some of the cost for your university fees. Win-win. So don't leave the college, but think about doing two things at the same time in order to get the theory and the experience. So you will be the first in the list to be called once you get your graduation. And I would really appreciate to have thought about these opportunities back in the days, but that somebody simply told me, as I'm doing right now with you. Step number 3, buy a business. That's right, instead of starting from scratch, why don't you consider buying an existing business? Of course, among those that are already profitable. If you think about it, this skips totally the first stressful setup phase and put you straight into money-making operation. Just to increase a bit of hype around this idea, consider that now is the perfect point in time to act, because of what is actually happening is a great wealth transfer. Every day, thousands of baby boomers retire, and many of them are business owners of extremely profitable enterprises. And pay attention to this with no successors. So what is really happening is that these people close down the business and go to the wild to enjoy the retirement. And that's it. And this creates a big opportunity for you to step in and take over, for a reasonable price even. And now you might be thinking, yes, okay, but I don't have the money actually to buy the business. No worries, because actually I have several ideas to finance the purchase. You can use the cash if you have it, and this is obvious. Alternatively, you can raise capital from fellow investors, or my favorites are crowdfunding or seller financing. Notably, for seller financing, where the seller acts as a bank, letting you pay over time. So you can have an agreement with the seller in order to pay monthly installments until you manage to pay the full amount. Of course, this last option can imply also some kind of interest payment, but this makes sense because the seller takes over part of the risk on top of the service. So guys, here you have it, no excuses, your 3-step plan in order to build up wealth without the risk and burden to start a new business from scratch. Just to wrap up, focus on your superpowers, leverage on your job to gain experience, and nurturing connections. Lastly, buy an existing business to secure your financial future. Now drop a comment and subscribe to the channel to remain updated on our latest financial insights. Thanks for watching and see you next time, guys.